What would bikepacking look like if you had to survive the apocalypse? Let's say there's a zombie uprising. How realistic is a zombie uprising? I don't know. Maybe, let's just say there's a solar flare that takes out all our electronics, which would probably include most vehicles. I mean, a lot of
Oh man,
vehicles have electronics, right? So even your electronic vehicles, even your non-electronic vehicles, there's a computer in there. If an EMP came through from a solar flare, gasoline has become scarce. It's time to go Mad Max on this one.
Bike and camp and chill.
Michael and I thought this would be a fun one because I think it just randomly came up when we were having a conversation at camp. And another thing that's been kind of popular lately, I don't think you guys have watched it. I have. It's called Last of Us. And so right now on the top of a lot of people's mind is this whole end of the world apocalypse thing going on, you know? The end of the world might happen tomorrow. And I really need Michael's tips and tricks on how the hell I can survive on a bicycle. So this one is a little bit more entertaining, thought-provoking. If the apocalypse was really here, one question I have is, would bikepacking even be a viable thing? So that's one thing to think about. And then two, if you did go that route, really taking it seriously and logically, what would you really do in that situation? Because I'm guessing when me and Michael kind of talked about this is you're going to think about your bike setup totally differently because you're going to need something that's easy to maintenance, easy to find spare parts for if you're going around digging through abandoned warehouses and bike shops or whatever you can come across. So before we start talking about this and getting your guys' thoughts, I bet Al has a bunch of off-grid survival
Neighbors.
tips. The one thing I thought would be fun to do before we dive into our own personal thoughts, and I know you guys can go there. I wanted to bring in the cyborgs.
like Terminator?
Think of this as a futuristic phone a friend. All right. Have you guys heard of ChatGPT?
I have.
Are you familiar? So ChatGPT, it's been in the news. It's been around for a few months now as far as they've been making updates to it. But it's a new machine learning AI engine where they've pumped all this information, databases of information, online resources, and this artificial intelligence has been learning through all that analysis. So think of it like if you took Google and made a Google search that was kind of like an assistant. Instead of you seeing all these results and pages, it's just talking to you like a person.
Robot friend on the internet?
Yeah. So I thought we would get a kick out of this. I knew this would kind of be the situation. I thought that Michael might not be familiar, and I thought that Al had probably heard of it.
I'm just a dumb bike mechanic and I use tools. I don't know the internet.
So I thought this would be fun to ask ChatGPT and see what ChatGPT says we should do in this situation. And then we could say what it's getting right and what's getting wrong and maybe debate some of the things that it brings up. So we're asking AI.
Okay, but before we do this, I have one question.
All right.
Have you not seen Terminator, especially part 2?
Yeah.
Like, is it smart to go talking to the machine?
In the news today, Elon Musk actually just signed an open letter with a bunch of other people saying, do not do this. Put a pause on this thing because it's going to take over.
Because the machine's going to take over, and your Armageddon setting is going to be us against the machine, right?
Well, that's why I thought it'd be funny to bring in the cyborgs, get their opinion, because maybe they're going to lead us astray on this and we could really put it to the test.
I think we're fucked for doing this, and I think you're especially fucked, and you're not going to be able to get away from it. What does AI's voice sound like? A really scary robot.
Well, right now, it doesn't have to sound like anything because it's just text. Isn't that scary? So think about when you're texting someone and you're getting text back. How do you know it's them and not ChatGPT that hacked into your phone and is acting like it's them? What if you're getting catfished by this thing?
By a computer.
So like I said, there's when we talk about the apocalypse, there's like two different ways you could think about it. Like I said, one, you go way down this rabbit hole of zombie apocalypse. I feel like that's not really that realistic. But it could be fun to kind of think about. I mean, there's definitely a different direction you'd go with some things if you had to bike pack and think about zombies.
I think you just call it like surviving while using a bike.
Surviving on a bike, yeah. And I mean, does it matter if it's zombies? Because I mean, if you're in the apocalypse or post-apocalypse, anyone could be attacking you. It doesn't have to be a zombie, right? Like you don't know who you can trust.
Well, here's the thing. If it's a zombie apocalypse, you're probably going to be fighting more zombies than humans. If it's not a zombie apocalypse, you're going to be fighting humans.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And also, if we're talking zombies, is it like old zombies that are like, or like these modern zombie movies where they're fast as fuck and jump off shit and, you know?
Let's say they're somewhere in between. And you don't want to have a really nice looking bike, right? Because anyone's going to want to take that thing from you. It's got to just be functional. But anyways, let's see what ChatGPT says, okay? I'm going to read a few different prompts, and I just want you guys to pick this thing apart. So I've already typed these in so that we didn't have to wait for it to respond. So here's the first one I'll read. So I said this to ChatGPT. I said, all cars have been disabled due to a solar flare that hit Earth. Gasoline is scarce. It is the apocalypse. How do I survive using bikepacking as my only means of travel? Answer me with serious tips like this is Mad Max on bikes. That's what I told it. And so when you type that in, you hit enter and you wait a little bit and it'll start thinking, and then it just starts typing this out. And it probably responded this whole thing within like 2 minutes. And this is what it said. This is all AI telling me this. Surviving in a post-apocalyptic world where cars are disabled and gasoline is scarce will require a significant lifestyle change. Bikepacking can be a viable means of travel and survival, but you'll need to make some serious preparations and adjustments to adapt to this new reality. Here are some tips to help you survive like it's Mad Max on bikes. Number 1, choose the right bike. Invest in a high-quality bike that can handle rough terrain and long distances. Look for bikes that are designed for bikepacking and can carry heavy loads. Consider adding extra gears to help you navigate hilly or mountainous terrain.
That's going to fail. We'll be down to single speed in 2 weeks.
I was like, fuck AI already. I'm already saying fuck AI.
Number 2, prepare for self-sufficiency. Stock up on food, water, and basic necessities like a tent, sleeping bag, and first aid kit. Since gasoline is scarce, you'll need to rely on your own resources to survive. Plan your routes carefully and always carry extra supplies in case of emergency. Number 3.
Sounds like a good weekend to me so far.
Number 3, learn basic bike maintenance. Since you'll be relying on your bike for transportation, it's essential to learn basic bike maintenance skills. This includes fixing flats, adjusting brakes and gears, and replacing broken chains or spokes. Make sure to carry basic tools and spare parts with you at all times. Yeah?
Same thing. Overnighter.
Number 4, stay safe. In a post-apocalyptic world, safety is a major concern. Make sure to carry a weapon for self-defense and always be aware of your surroundings. Avoid traveling alone if possible and stay away from dangerous or unstable areas. It didn't say what kind of weapon. I should ask it that. Yeah. What's the best weapon? Like, I want to know what's easy to carry, you know?
A sawed-off shotgun in a leather holster on the front of your bike.
Number 5, stay healthy. Bikepacking requires a lot of physical exertion, so it's essential to stay healthy and fit. Make sure to eat a balanced diet while you're out and you're going to eat whatever you can come across, okay? Rest when necessary and listen to your body to avoid injury or burnout. I don't know if you're going to worry about burnout. I mean, you got to get somewhere, right? Number 6, build a community. Surviving alone in a post-apocalyptic world can be challenging. Building a community of like-minded individuals can help you stay safe and thrive. Look for other bikepackers or survivalists in your area and work together to share resources and knowledge. In conclusion, remember, surviving in a post-apocalyptic world will require flexibility, resourcefulness, and resilience. By following these tips and adapting to your new reality, you can thrive in a world where bikes are the only means of transportation. You can walk too. That's fine.
So far, it sounds like what we do already.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So far, it sounds like a bunch of bullshit common sense. Like,
Hey.
this kid's supposed to be extra smart. It's telling us shit we already know.
I want to do it where it's going to be dynamic. Like we ask it a question, it responds, and then we ask another one. And it could be that exact thing. Like we just said, what would be the best weapon?
What's the best weapon to use during an apocalypse type situation? Something like that.
Your bike packing weapon.
And first off, I already have it all figured out with the bikes. The bikes is easy. Okay. That's the least of your worries. I know this is going to be a bike inspired, bike camp and chill during the apocalypse, but the bike is the easiest fucking part you can imagine. Okay.
No, you need to know where your neighbors are at.
You guys, it's responding. It's responding. Do you guys want to hear what the Terminator has to say?
Yeah.
All right. Choosing the best weapon for bike packing during an apocalypse can be a personal choice based on your skills and preferences. However, some weapons are better suited for bike packing due to their portability and effectiveness in close combat situations. Here are some options to consider. Number 1,
Shotgun.
machete. A machete is a versatile tool that can be used for chopping through brush, cutting firewood, and defending yourself against attackers. It's lightweight and easy to carry on your bike. It just thought of that. Okay, number 2, crossbow. A crossbow is a powerful weapon that can be used for hunting and self-defense. It's quieter than a firearm if you don't want to alert people, and doesn't require bullets, making it a good choice in a world where ammunition might be scarce. Number 3, a folding knife is compact and versatile tool that can be used for cutting, slicing, and even self-defense in a pinch. It's easy to carry on your person or in a bag attached to your bike. Number 4, a handgun. If you're comfortable using firearms, I had to preface it that way.
You better get comfortable, son.
You might need to get comfortable. A handgun can be an effective self-defense tool. Look for a compact, lightweight model that's easy to carry on your person or in a bag attached to your bike. Remember that ammunition may be scarce, so use it sparingly. Number 5 is a spear. I'd love to see how you'd carry that.
Jousting on bikes.
A long-range weapon that can be used for hunting or self-defense. It's easy to make from natural materials and can be attached to your bike for easy transport. Remember that whatever weapon you choose, it's essential to practice using it regularly to build your skills and ensure that you're comfortable and proficient with it in a high-pressure situation. Additionally, always prioritize safety and caution when handling weapons and follow any local laws and regulations. I don't know if that's going to be an issue during the apocalypse. I don't know what local laws you'll have to follow. You got to make sure you still get a permit for that thing.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So here's my take on that. I've told my neighbors when the big tsunami comes, people will be out of power and they won't be able to get to food. I said, as long as you have cattle, I have beef. They don't like that answer, but I'm not going to starve. A goat or a sheep's a better option because there's too much meat on a cow for a small community. You need.
Yeah. Hey, Dallas. Okay, I'm in the Mad Max apocalypse and gas is scarce and shit like that, and I'm a fucking vegan. What do you do?
Oh, I mean, I'm only a vegan right now because I'm not in a survival situation, If I was in a survival situation...
You're going to be eating someone's butt cheek raw.
Someone's?
Yeah.
I mean, I could go with the cow or the...
Cows are gone, dude.
Lambs.
That's a first food source. That's the first line of food.
I can still grow some plants and I can forage mushrooms and...
You know how many people, some rednecks are out in their apocalypse backyard, fucking just grilling steak after steak after steak? We're just hanging out all day. Let's grill.
I can just walk around picking all the berries, right? No one's going to care about that stuff.
I want to talk about the AI stuff. You got to choose a bike, right? Okay, this is a scenario we're going to choose a bike.
Do you want me to ask it and see what it would say?
I think we should just talk about it because AI don't know shit. AI just means a bunch of half common sense bullshit.
It had a whole other list for if it was a zombie apocalypse, like saying to stay away from cities because they'd be crawling with zombies.
Fuck yeah.
You got to stay quiet. So it said avoid honking your bike horn.
And fucking zombies are coming.
Yeah, so you want a silent hub.
No coasting.
Here's what I would have. Now it depends. Am I traveling? I'm on the move all the time? Right? Or am I using it to go out of my home base and steal shit and come back?
Well, I mean, I think the first thing would be, like I said in the beginning, you're probably going to want something easy to maintenance and easy to fix and easy to have spare parts or find parts more common, right?
I get a BMX bike because first off, you ain't gonna need parts. That shit's heavy duty. It'll run for a long time.
Emphasis on heavy.
And you can carry a buddy on the back pegs. So that,
Well, that's the hard part. See, the BMX bike would be great to like jam around the city and like I could use my bike as a weapon. I could throw it over fences and shit, right? But if I had to ride a long distance carrying a fucking backpack full of all my shit, it would be really tough. I think like realistically, I'd probably get like a rigid steel frame 29er, 26er, something that could fit all the wheel sizes, right? And whatever you come across, you can put on it. I'd get me a Surly Troll or something that could fit every goddamn brake, derailleur, and every single mount. So no matter what you get, you could take from other stuff. You know, I'd be rocking an 8-speed 1x8 until I can come across, 1x12 somewhere. Now, if it's like a bike shop apocalypse, how much, like, the grocery stores get like in the movies, like, oh my God, the grocery stores are all ransacked and everything. Like, are the bike shops getting ransacked?
probably, if you have a bike and I don't know, I'm probably eventually.
Tubes, like your tubes.
Tubes.
You're gonna need a whole lot of those.
Tubeless.
You can go tubeless, but man, I need that fucking sealant. You see, what would come of it is you would look back, you'd be sitting in like your little dunk hole that you're trying to live in, and you'd be like, damn man, back in 2022 I was paying this much for stands, but now you know that you can make some shit that works because you had to.
Here's what you do. I was gonna say, in the South, just plant and grow okra. When you harvest that and you boil that, it creates a slime. That's the goo. That'd be the new organic stands.
I was the best thing that the AI said was the whole machete, because I was already thinking about it in my head. I was like, if I had to choose my weapons, what would I have? And I was thinking at first like a samurai. I was thinking as far as the zombie apocalypse goes, probably like a samurai sword. Something that doesn't run out of bullets, right? And is long, and I could swing it really hard, something like that. But living where we live, I would pass up the machete for a hatchet. The thing about that too is you could take any piece of metal and sit there and sharpen it on the sidewalk.
Lawnmower blade.
I think, as far as a zombie apocalypse go, a spear is a pretty good deal, or even against a human being, right? I mean, if the other human doesn't have a fucking gun, spear's gonna work.
The things that you wouldn't even think about that it brings up, it says, if you had to survive a zombie apocalypse on a bike, it would be challenging, but not impossible. Here are some tips to help you. And one thing it said is, stay away from places where zombies might be concentrated, such as cemeteries and morgues and hospitals. Let's see what this other one said. So this one went pretty in depth because it can get very sophisticated in what you can ask it. And because we're doing this podcast, I was just like, what would it say if I told it, write me a transcript for a 30-minute podcast episode about how to survive the zombie apocalypse while bikepacking on a bike? And I said, include recommendations around using common bike parts that can be easily found in the now abandoned world. And so because I said, give me a transcript, it actually wrote it out as if it was like a script, like a podcast script. Okay. This went pretty in depth, and it says, welcome to this week's episode of Bikepacking Survival Guide. I'm your host, and today we're going to talk about surviving the zombie apocalypse while bikepacking. This may sound crazy, but with a little bit of planning, you can turn your bike into a survival tool that will help you navigate the zombie-infested landscape. Before we dive into bike-specific recommendations, let's talk about why bikepacking is a great option for surviving the zombie apocalypse. For one, bikes are fast and silent, making them ideal for evading zombies. I don't know if they're silent, so.
Not with a DT hub.
It says they are agile and can traverse a wide range of terrain, from city streets to rural backcountry. Additionally, bikes are low maintenance, and you can easily find replacement parts from abandoned bikes or scrap yards along the way. So it thinks that part will be really easy. So now let's talk about the essential bike parts you'll need to keep your bike running in the zombie apocalypse. So let's see if you agree with this. Firstly, you'll need a durable frame that can withstand the rigors of off-road terrain and potentially fending off zombies. A steel frame is a good choice as it's strong and relatively easy to repair. You'll also want to equip your bike with puncture-resistant tires such as Schwalbe Marathon Plus or Continental Gator Skins.
It gave you a brand.
I know.
Are we going on a road ride?
Are they sponsored?
It's like 42 millimeter Schwalbe Marathon puncture resistance. Okay, use 4.3 ounces of stands per. Yeah, that's specific.
Here's an awesome part. It says those tires are less likely to puncture from debris on the road, and they're also less likely to puncture due to zombie bites, because zombies will be biting your tires. Okay, here we go. In terms of drivetrain, a single speed bike is the way to go. A single speed is low maintenance and easy to repair, and you won't have to worry about shifting gears when you're trying to outrun zombies. You'll also want to make sure your bike has a strong chain, as it will be put under a lot of stress during off-road riding. Another important component to consider is brakes. In a post-apocalyptic world, you may not be able to find replacement brake pads, so it's a good idea to use a brake system that's easy to maintain and find replacement parts for. V-brakes or mechanical disc brakes are good options.
Coaster brake.
It's funny that you were thinking that because I was thinking in my head, what is a coaster brake? But not a bad option. I mean, think about this. I got a bike in the back that's like a 19 fucking, I don't even know how old it is. It's old as shit. And it's still going. So
Coasters.
And also, dude, think about this. You're bike packing the apocalypse. Okay. So we're bike packing in real life. It's like, hey, let's go ride 5,000 feet and 50 miles. Like, it don't matter no more, right? Like, you might ride 1 mile today. You might ride 10 miles the next. You might not ride at all, right?
Dude, check out my Strava.
Yeah. It's the zombie dash.
It says, now let's talk about the survival gear you'll need for bike packing in the zombie apocalypse. You'll want to pack light, but include essentials such as water filter, multi-tool, first aid kit, and a map. You'll also want to carry a firearm or some other self-defense tool. I love that it still says, but be sure to check your local laws and regulations. It just has to say that in there. In terms of food, you'll want to bring non-perishable items such as jerky, energy bars, and dried fruit. It's also a good idea to carry a fishing kit or a small game trap in case you need to catch your own food. Finally, it's important to be self-sufficient when it comes to shelter. You can bring a lightweight tent or a bivy sack, but you can also improvise by building a shelter from natural materials like branches and leaves. In conclusion, bike packing can be a great way to survive the zombie apocalypse. By equipping your bike with durable parts and packing essential survival gear, you can navigate the post-apocalyptic world with speed, agility, and self-sufficiency. Remember to be safe, stay alert, and always be ready to evade or defend against zombies. Thanks for tuning in to this episode of Bikepacking Survival Guide. It wrote that whole script.
Here's what I would ask it. Will the machine take over? It's like Terminator 2, right? The machine will take over.
Okay, so we're asking the Terminator if it's going to take us over. And it says, the idea of machines taking over is often portrayed in science fiction, but it is not a realistic scenario. As an AI language model, I am a tool designed to assist humans in various tasks, but I am programmed to operate within strict limitations and guidelines. That's why I tell you to follow all laws and regulations when I mention firearms. While AI technology is advancing rapidly, there are still ethical and regulatory frameworks in place to ensure that AI systems do not cause harm or take over human decision making. It's helping us make decisions right now. It's important to remember that the development and use of AI is ultimately in the hands of humans, and it is up to us to ensure that AI is developed and used responsibly. And it said us, like we're having a hand in this in some way. Us. The potential benefits of AI are significant, and with responsible development and deployment, we can harness the power of AI to help solve some of the world's most pressing challenges.
Mm.
Should I just comment back? Too long, didn't read.
Comment back and say, I'm getting a little tired of, bored of you. Tell me why If you had one time to shoot for the stars, hit a grand slam, and all that kind of stuff you say in movies, this is your one-time chance to make me want to stay and ask you bullshit questions.
Okay, I'm going to say you are live on the air with the Bike, Camp, and Chill podcast. Is there anything you want to tell the world? Speak now or forever.
Shut the hell up.
Speak now or forever hold your peace. Thank you for having me on the show. As an AI language model, I don't have personal opinions or feelings, but I am always here to help answer any questions or provide information to those who seek it. If anyone listening has any questions or concerns, feel free to ask and I'll do my best to assist you. Thanks again for having me on the show. And I hope everyone stays safe and enjoys their bikepacking adventures.
It just keeps turning it back. You know what I'm saying? Like,
well, hey, Michael, think of it this way. Is there anything in the scenario of bikepacking the apocalypse that you really seriously don't necessarily have a thought on, like you would be seeking assistance or an answer on? Let's ask it a serious question. Is there something that you would really want to know?
it's the apocalypse. I just got shot in my stomach. What do I do?
Okay, here we go. You're definitely not going to have ChatGPT to help you in that situation, but we can get ahead of it.
Tell me what to do.
In the zombie apocalypse, I get shot in the stomach.
I bet you it says use lower gears and not to exert yourself.
I cannot go to medical assistance. I have to deal with it myself, kind of thing.
Yeah. I can't go to get medical assistance. I have to fix this on my own, alone in the forest.
It's going to say, dig a hole because you're going to need it here in about a day.
You guys, this is how fast it is. It's already done. If you are shot in the stomach during the zombie apocalypse and you cannot get medical assistance, it is crucial to act quickly to prevent further injury and infection. Here are the steps you should take to increase your chances of survival. Number 1, assess the severity of the injury. If you've been shot in the stomach, it's important to determine the severity. If the bullet has pierced your intestines, it is a potentially life-threatening injury and requires immediate attention. Number 2, stop the bleeding. If there is visible bleeding, apply pressure to the wound with a clean cloth or bandage to help stop the bleeding. 3, clean the wound. Use clean water to rinse the wound and remove any debris or foreign objects that may be in the wound. Avoid using any soap or hydrogen peroxide as they can damage tissue. Treat the wound. If you have access to any antiseptic solution, use it to clean the wound further. Cover the wound with a clean, sterile bandage or cloth to keep it clean and prevent further infection. Manage pain. If the injury is painful, take over-the-counter pain relievers.
If it's painful. You've been shot in the stomach, and if it's painful.
Monitor the signs of infection. These steps are not a substitute for professional medical care. Seeking medical attention is always the best course of action. See, the thing is it can't go past the point of this is fictitious. In the future, I won't have that help. But because we're in the current time, it's as a disclaimer, you should seek professional help. As a disclaimer, you should obey all laws.
I think we should tell this whole AI to, shove it up and see, what, because we could talk about cooler stuff than this thing's giving us.
Yeah. This kind of went how I thought it would. I wanted to get to the point where Michael was talking shit about the AI and telling us what we would do.
I had my hopes up that it was going to give me a really fucking good answer. Okay.
So let's get into your guys' tips.
I'll tell you what I would do. First off, take my hemostats from my toolbox, and I would, I would take a nice, good grip, like a solid grip, like an extra chunky kind of solid grip to do this thing, right? Because it's gonna hurt like a motherfucker probably. And if it doesn't kill you, you're gonna survive. And I'm gonna dig in there and grab that. No, you're probably gonna have more like a Leatherman, right? I'm gonna hope that the bullet's not that deep, right?
Maybe it goes all the way through.
Well, infection is the worst part.
With the Leatherman and pull the bullet out, right? Ding. And then I'm gonna take super glue, because I think super glue would be a good thing to have. And I'm going to super glue that shit shut. and then I'm just gonna hope it goes well.
How do you make sure you don't bleed on the inside, like internal bleeding?
Okay, getting shot, you're done. Realistically, that just ruins. We can't even talk past that. You get shot. It's not like a movie where you're gonna, imagine like in movies, zombie apocalypse movies or whatever. Dude gets shot. Oh my god, let's bandage this guy up. Blah blah. Yeah, but like they said, what about the infection? Right? Like it's not being treated like it should be in real life. So you're probably gonna get fucked up. You're probably gonna die. Right? And also too, let's talk about real life situation. You're in the zombie apocalypse, and now let's say there's the three of us together, and Dallas gets shot.
We have bike parts now.
I know that Dallas, is our friend and shit, but like at this point,
We're all having fun. And they're like, man, that bike's looking pretty nice right about now.
well, I was gonna say, I was gonna wait till the end of this whole podcast to bring this up. Like, thought about it, we talked about it.
But we need community. That's how we survive. Community.
Yeah, sure. Okay, Mad Max. How did Mad Max survive? Right? Because he's a fucking lone wolf and he travels on his own. Okay, he don't get caught up. So
here's the thing: if you get shot
got a
and
dog.
you think you have an infection, you need to go to the store, get one of those thousands of loaves of moldy bread, and use that kind of as a penicillin substitute.
yeah, but they better be gone already.
No, if the zombies, even if it's the fast zombies, they're after people, right?
Yeah.
They don't
But,
care about
like,
no
the
bread.
initial wave of something happening wrong. Like imagine the COVID, man. You couldn't even get toilet paper. Now you got fucking zombies. Right? Like, dude, bread is gonna be gone.
Do you think are people even going to care about wiping their ass though? I think toilet paper would be still on the shelves. It'd be interesting to see what the first things people go for.
I think that you're gonna do a whole lot of like gathering up your gear and getting all ready, and you're riding your bike down the road, and then some dude with a fucking rifle is gonna be waiting for you to go by, and done. Now I got all his shit, and then someone's gonna kill him, get all his shit, and it's gonna go on like that until there's no more people left. Right? Now, but what if it's like, okay, we watch zombie movies, so we just assume that people are gonna be all crazy with each other. I need what you got because I want to survive. What if it was like a thing where human beings actually banded together? And you did have like groups of people that were helping each other. And every time you came across a human, you're like, I'm with you, motherfucker, because there's zombies here, right? So it's us against them. So you didn't have to worry about humans at all, right? Because in my mind, I feel like I'm a realist, and our number one problem when shit hits the fan is us.
Yeah. I don't see zombies being a realistic thing. And before we get off the topic of the ChatGPT, one last thing I did ask the chat, would bikepacking even be a good form of travel in a post-apocalyptic scenario?
I don't think so.
What it said is, in a post-apocalyptic scenario, bikepacking could potentially be a good form of travel, but it would depend on a number of factors. Firstly, the type of apocalypse would greatly affect the feasibility of bikepacking. For example, if the apocalypse resulted in widespread destruction of infrastructure such as roads and bridges, you wouldn't really be able to travel by bike. But yeah, I mean, we're just having fun with this idea of how would you, if you were in this scenario of bikepacking the apocalypse, how would you go about that? And that's when we kind of talked about, you would totally rethink your whole bike setup from what you're using now just for the fun of it if you were in this survival situation. So this is kind of a thought experiment, but there's some things to be even learned from something silly like this. So I think it's an interesting conversation.
I would get a rigid steel mountain bike, right? Like I said, something that you could fit lots of different kinds of wheels and it brakes and shit like that on it, because I feel like over time you're just going to be scavenging for whatever you can, right? I would have, and it's funny that I never thought about this. Okay, years ago, there was this homeless guy in a bike shop I used to work at. He would come by all the time, and he would get some stuff and this and that, but he shows me, this is why I never get flats. Okay. So he found a fire hose and cut a fire hose, right? And made tire liners in his tires with a fire hose and never got flats because the fire hose was so strong. Right. And I thought, yeah, not cool for like having performance, right? Because it makes your tires weird and heavy and this and that. But it ain't about that. It's about not getting a flat tire.
You got to get resourceful if you're in this life or death situation. So
I would run like some kind of really thick, heavy tire, like something that's going to last for a while. Okay, single speed for sure, because you don't want to be dealing with a derailleur,
Nope.
shifter cables. That's all extra shit. You could do a coaster brake. That would not be a bad idea. You're not bombing hills and like doing crazy stuff. You're just trying to survive, right?
You're not doing technical mountain bike shit.
Yeah.
It depends on where you're at in this whole apocalypse situation. If at some point, let's say if you're in a safe area and you've kind of got accustomed to it and you know your shit and you're kind of settled, at some point you'd probably just want to have fun on a bike because what else are you gonna do, right?
I don't think so.
I think you're just trying to figure out if you're going to have enough food for today to even see tomorrow.
You're not going to go look for the nearest mountain bike trail and just see how it's looking?
Let's change a little bit so we can have fun on bikes. It's 30 years into the apocalypse.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
There's not that much people, the ones that are still here, and you're thinking back like, man, I used to like to go bike camping and shit, adventure cycling, and like find out new areas. I'm gonna I don't have to worry as much. Like we're not worried about killing each other no more. It's just like we're kind of all living, right? We're restarting the human race, right? But you have all the shit from the last human race. And so, yeah, you'd be in the same situation where you need to get bikes that parts are easy to get. But I don't know, what if you were doing your thing and you were having fun, like just entertain yourself by riding bikes and you come across another guy on a bike, right? You're like, what the fuck? What are you doing here? I'm just riding my bike, man, and then all of a sudden, like it's starting over again. But it's always going to stay small because not that much people, right?
Yeah. And you're not going to have that many people, depending on who survives, that can manufacture that stuff or even know all the ins and outs.
Yeah, but here's the thing too. So you have your gear, right? You got to carry your gear. We use like these bike packing bags because we don't have to worry about forever.
Right.
So what would change for your bags? Because right now we use X-Pack, BX21 or whatever the hell they call that stuff. And yeah, it's great for bike packing and like regular people usage, but like even to the point where you see like world tourist people, there's that group of people that tour bikes just forever, or huge amounts of distance. They're not rolling ultralight equipment because the shit won't last, And so, Al, what kind of bags would you have? Being a person that is into making their own bags, where do you think you would go? You think it would kind of go back to like the cowboy days where you're using leather?
Yeah, I'm interested in what bags would you use, Al? And also, like, what would be the gear that you think you'd be using? I mean, would you be trying to carry a bunch of firewood? Would you bring Bob trailer and all that? What would be your...
Not. Here's what I think is I think our homeless population's got it figured out. I mean, they're the ones that are actually out there trying to live day in, day out. And if you look at what they've got, some of those guys are packing, more shit than I put in my truck. Not heavy stuff, but it's what they need, So I think it would all of a sudden be whatever bags I could fit on the bike. If it fits on there, I'd drag the Bob. Again, it's going to be 4 miles an hour, 5 miles an hour for 14, 15 miles. That might be a good trip. But we came across the plains, Pioneer stock at 15 miles a day, 20 miles a day. So I think we're back to in that thought process. A 35-mile ride is no longer really in our future.
You would choose whatever bike you can grab right there.
Yeah.
You wouldn't like, okay, I'm going to keep this bike forever. When this bike's done, you would just go to the next bike. So at that point, your kit would either be like a backpack, like a lot of them, right? Or shit that you can move over, right? And just keep adapting and keep going.
The person who has the biggest roll of Velcro strapping probably is king.
Imagine what will be like worth money then for biker people. Like, like in Mad Max, they're like selling dirt and water and shit, right? Like, imagine like what you could sell like to the bike people if you had it, like tubes, right? Oh man, or patch kits. I got a whole stash of patch kits from back in 2022, 2023, right? Look at this Rima. It's a whole box from QBP full of Rima tubes.
I want to see the Mad Max movie where it's all on bikes and Michael's running this little shop where you got to go down into the sewer and into this hidden room, and it's called Abandoned Bicycle Works.
Abandoned.
Yeah, I would dress like the one that's in the Mad Max. I don't know which one it was, but like he's like kind of looks like one of those dudes that wear like the gag ball, some kind of crazy thing. He's got like a mohawk. He's all Yeah, that'd be crazy, huh? I like those kind of movies, Mad Max. So on bikes, I would take my truck bike. What if you had to take your bikes that you have right now? Like you had to take
Well,
what you have.
it's kind of like, I was saying, if you're in a survival situation, like right now we're having fun with it. And there's people out there that are currently living on their bikes and they're figuring it out. And some of them do it by choice, some doing it by unfortunate circumstances, but they are having this. It kind of depends on how much of a survival situation it feels like, but they are having to figure out in the moment what they're going to do, get resourceful. And that's really what you're going to have to do. You're going to grab the bike you have, depending on what happens. You're going to have to fix things and find things and figure out how you're going to do it. And if this bike's no longer rideable, you're going to ditch it because you're not going to just carry that stuff. You might bring some parts until you find another bike, but you're just going to have to get resourceful and just see what you come across, really.
And so you're telling me I got to go into the apocalypse and I can't use my really nice down sleeping bag forever?
I don't know. I could ask the chat and see what it says. I did ask it what would be the best titles for a podcast episode about bikepacking after the apocalypse, and it gave me 10 options. They're really long though. Here's a top 10 list. It said number 1, surviving the end. Bikepacking through a post-apocalyptic world. Number 2, wheels of survival. Bikepacking for life after the apocalypse. 3, journeying through the wasteland. Bikepacking in a post-apocalyptic world. Number 4, I like this one. The Last Tour.
The Last Tour. I like that one too. Yeah.
Bikepacking tales from a post-apocalyptic landscape.
The Last Tour is a really good one. I'm using that. So here's a question, not for stupid AI, but for us. What would you like? Imagine like you're on your own. There's no family kind of thing. Like you're literally on your own. You're past the point of like I'm on my own, right? Where are you gonna go? Like you're just gonna wander. Like you're bikepacking the Last Tour. Like where are you gonna go? Right now, Al, you're leaving Langlois, deciding like I can't stay here any longer. Because my resources have been used up, so I need to leave. And you're on your own. There's nobody else. Where are you gonna head?
I would dodge the weather. I mean, it's coming up on spring now, so we're cool here in the next month or so. It's going to get really nice, and then I'd be in the north in the summer, and I'd head south in the winter.
Well, other than the direction you'd be going, like if you have the whole south or north, like what would be the destination in mind? Like, is there a certain spot that seems like it would have all the things you would need for the next whatever, or would it just be a general direction and you just kind of see?
I would probably stay very close where we're at because the resources that you need to like live off the land are pretty relevantly easy to come by here, right? Crab, clam. I mean, there's food to be found and had.
Winter is not that bad. It's just rain.
Like what would be the issue here, really?
Really, I think what would happen is we'd have to go and grab a bunch of knowledge about what we don't eat now, but they used to eat. And if you add, there's plenty of farmland out here. If you could get your hand on a shit ton of seeds that first year or two.
Here's one thing too: being close to the ocean, you're going to eat.
Yeah,
you could just scour the beach and eat, really, if you had to. And I feel like being by the ocean would give you, especially if part of your kit is getting a hold of some fishing equipment, right? If you have fishing equipment and you're near the ocean, you're going to always eat.
And if the internet is down, we don't have that as a resource anymore. So where I'd be spending a lot of my time in the beginning? I think I'd be going to the Langlois library. I'd be reading a bunch of books.
Hey, here's what I'm thinking. You said the internet's down? Apocalypse? That's the same thing.
I know all that happened is the internet is down, and so we're out. Fuck it, we're bikepacking.
No internet. I'm going to eat people.
Well, imagine the internet went down, and you're in Coos Bay, and I'm in Bandon, and you're in Langlois. How the fuck do we even tell each? Shit, man, I can't even call these motherfuckers to tell them that we should go bikepacking because the internet's down and the phone lines are down. And
we got to have a meetup spot if that ever happens.
Certain breeds of people are going to survive, as cyclists. All the cyclist people right now that we have on the planet, certainly, there's different breeds of cyclists, right? Different kinds of cyclists. there's only certain ones that are going to survive. And like, there's already people today doing that, right? I just decided like, I'm not going to fall into like regular life. I'm going to live my own thing. So that breed's going to survive, right? Because they're already doing it, right? You know, the homeless people on bikes and the full-time bike travelers on bikes, they're going to be the first group that makes it. The second group is going to be adventure cyclists, bike packers, bike tourists, you know, that kind of stuff. And then the third group is going to be BMXers because they're going to have the drive and the bikes to keep going, but they're going to have to adapt to get into camping and shit. And then it's going to be mountain bikers, right? And then way last down the road is going to be what, Al?
The rollerbladers?
Yeah, the roadies.
I think it's going to be like definitely a road type of person.
So my main question I have is, do you go clipless or
You go in the apocalypse, you better get yourself a pair of boots.
Yeah.
You're going to be wearing for a long time.
An 8-inch boot with a steel toe that you can ride flats in.
Yeah. Okay, you want to get a pedal that has probably a bushing and a bearing, because you could probably find other stuff to make the bushing part out of, and then just adapt something for the bearing. But a nice big BMX style aluminum flat pedal with spikes on it, so you can grip your boot real well, right? Easy. And you can get them too where they have now for BMX crescent wrenches, you know, adjustable wrenches. So you have just a nice big area to put a wrench in between the pedal and the crank arm, so you can find tools and crap where you're at and make it work.
You're saying BMXers have a 6-inch and a 10-inch crescent wrench, and that's their whole toolkit.
Pretty damn close there, Al. Not far off, okay? I'll tell you right now. When I was a BMXer, okay, you had usually a socket wrench with an extension with the right size socket for your axles, because you got to put it in a peg, okay? You have one of those like anywhere you can find fold out, which would be good for the apocalypse. Little cool bike tool, you know, I got my little cool bike tool and shit. Yeah, that shit ain't gonna last forever, okay? But those like fold out Allen key sets you get at the hardware store, that'll last for a long fucking time. And then when the plastic breaks, you can take the other key and stick it in the round part of the other key and turn it, right? Yeah, or a crescent wrench. If you don't have pegs, you just use a crescent wrench. You can hit everything, right? Standard or metric.
if the zombies are really fast though, like in some of those movies where they're just friggin' gangbusters, then you got to be on a time trial bike, right? And you're just
No, because you're gonna be bunny hopping shit and going off road. Okay, no time trials bikes. Imagine your seat post. You can make your seat post a weapon. I'm gonna sharpen the bottom of my seat post up so I can quick release pull it out and jab somebody. Hey, what kind of seat are you gonna have for the apocalypse? I'm gonna go with the Brooks.
I'm going with the Brooks.
Yeah. Now you're gonna have to go meat eater Brooks guy. No vegan Brooks, because that ain't gonna last forever. You need a good leather.
rubber doesn't last as long as leather. Is that what you're saying?
I think the seat's gonna fall apart before like the regular style Brooks would versus that version of the seats.
Yeah, I think we already made it clear that if I was in a survival situation, anything goes. I'd be going so far the other direction because I'd really be wanting to survive.
For Dallas, anything goes. So, you know, he's really hoping that there's this whole like compound of people that are gonna like start hanging out and shit.
How come you keep calling your buddy Tofu?
Yeah. I miss him. Hey, what kind of handlebars you gonna run?
I'm going to ride the local bars, man. There's more places to strap stuff on. You can carry more gear.
Yeah. Right there. Loco bar. A surly dish trucker. No, I think I would keep my handlebar steel, custom steel bar, you know? Really hard to bend.
If it's the apocalypse, I guess we'd have enough time to just do the Pacific Coast bike route at that point.
Hey, you guys want to go on a tour?
The last tour.
Imagine like there's nobody. Okay, what if like you want bikepacking? We're all three of us. Hey, this is normal life right now. We're like in normal life. Hey, you guys want to go bikepacking this weekend? Yeah, sure, let's go. Where do you want to go? I don't know. Let's go open the sixes. And we go open the sixes, right? Friday night, Saturday night. And then on Sunday when we roll out, there's like cars just like parked up on the highway. Like some are still running, some are running out of gas. Like people are just gone. And the internet's down and all that shit's down. But everyone's gone, right? It's like a weird apocalypse that we're only in. Everyone's gone. And then what? We go home, obviously, and check it out and find there's no one there. We all figure out our own shit's everything's gone. And then we decide, fuck it. I guess we're on that last tour. The forever tour.
I think 101 just becomes a wide bike path.
Oh, imagine we get the only ones in the whole wide world and all history that we got to ride the Pacific Coast route. Not a single car, full lanes wide, right? Dang. We can just roll up now because all the people are gone for a certain amount of time. We'd be able to just roll up to a restaurant, like go in there and fire the grill up and shit, and like, cook up. You can sit outside. We can act like waiters and stuff. Hey, can I take your order?
Go to any campground. Yeah, we could do a lot of stuff.
Every time we go by a bike shop, we can be like, damn, look at this bike, son. I'm gonna take this one the rest of the way.
Yeah, we can go we can we can go into bike shops. We can go into the restaurants and fire up the grill. We can go take the campground by storm and all that. As long as we obey all local laws and regulations.
Hey, don't go on the wrong side of the road. You can get hit. How long does it take you to like get out of just staying to the right all the time?
Yeah.
Like how long of a period do we adapt to where it doesn't matter no more? You don't even think about it.
Do we still yell car back? And stuff like
Just
that?
for fun. We would do it for fun. As we see a car up.
No, but think about your response when you hear a car and you're, oh shit, like we're going to go jump in the bushes and fucking hide.
Oh God. But the thing is, you would adapt to it, right? So you would hear that car coming from so far away. You'd be like, what the fuck? Hide, and all of a sudden there's a car goes speeding by. Then it would be like a movie, right? Holy shit.
You wouldn't be able to trust anything. That's the thing.
We're out in the desert where it's like one of those long ass straightaways, right? And we're like sitting there going, what the fuck is that? There's some other cyclotourist people sitting there like going, what the fuck is that? And then we all kind of just keep creeping until we can finally see what we're looking at. You'd have to have a pair of binoculars in the apocalypse. You can see far distances, right? Holy shit, it's more of us. And then we have to fight and take each other's shit.
We'd get to hang out and have camp like one night, and then we all know that tomorrow we kind of, we got to fight it out. But tonight we'll chill a little bit,
Here's what I'd say. Hey, you guys want to work yourselves over to Montana and go to the adventure cycling and find those fucking paper maps they have there? Find some routes to go do? Because I can't remember this shit. I had it all stored on my GPS. What kind of weapon would you have, Dallas?
I mean, a machete sounds pretty good. A crossbow sounds pretty cool because you can reuse the arrows. I mean, I think a crossbow would be.
You're going to shoot people and then go over to them and like pull the arrow out?
Yeah. Reuse it.
Half the time those arrows are going to fucking break.
It'll still be more reusable than a bullet, though.
I get that, right? But I just don't feel like there's any real zombie apocalypse or real apocalypse that's going to go on a real long length of time. Like, I feel like you got a short period of time and you're going to burn out real fast, and that's that.
Yeah, I mean, I'd mainly be using it to get some game or something. So I guess the way to think about it is weapon versus, because what is it that they usually use for like game traps is like the
little snares.
Yeah, snares. I think those would work really good near camp. You set up snares, and then as far as a weapon, I don't know, like a freaking club or something, a baseball bat or something, and some knives.
Dallas can do this. He's got his fucking dynamo hub on his bike. He's got power, so he can find like rechargeable flashlights and stuff, right? Stuff that you might actually need to use. Cell phone not going to work no more, right?
A rechargeable flashlight, that's probably scary as hell after about 3 months.
That's why I wonder what would actually work.
The only means of light at night.
So I don't know if you guys have heard this, but supposedly the most realistic, most likely scenario of an apocalypse would be the situation of a solar flare. And they actually had an instance of this happening, I think maybe in the 1800s, where it took out the whole telegram system or something. And if that happened nowadays, if you had a solar flare from the sun come through, it could take out all the satellites. Depending on how big it is, it could take out all the electronics. And I don't know what that effect would be. Like, I don't know if there's still certain electronics that could still work, depending on how big of a solar flare it was. You have any idea on that, Al?
Hell, we've had in the last 26 years, I know we've had a solar flare that took out satellites.
Now, here's what I think the most common thing that would happen, the most realistic thing that would happen would be some kind of war caused thing, like nukes get launched or something, right?
But why do a nuke if you could just do like a EMP that just took out everything electronic? Have you ever heard of the Twilight Zone episode called The Monsters Are Due on Maple Street? It was where these aliens come and they go over a neighborhood, and all they did was take out the neighborhood's power. And after like however long, the whole neighborhood, all the neighbors turned against each other just because the power was out.
A nuclear weapon itself creates a big EMP. So
yeah,
if you're not shielded, yeah.
So everyone's just out there, been at war, just out there at last straw, fucking launch them.
Here's the thing about in the beauty of the western coast of America, right? we're not near a big city, so we're probably not a target.
They're not going to put a bomb in fucking Coos Bay. They're going to send that shit to big populations of people. So the East Coast is going to be,
And prevailing winds, well, it comes across the ocean before it gets to us.
Yeah, but did you guys ever think about what if they nuked Yellowstone, the super volcano? Think about if that thing erupted because they nuked it.
I think that the explosion's mostly going to land on the top, right? And the volcano's like,
Oh, it's it's a big caldera. Yeah, huge.
what if they nuked something that you wanted to have, right? Like, oh man,
They nuked the SRAM headquarters.
oh man, everything in the bike industry is going like, nope, electronic shifting is the way we're going to go, right?
Oh.
Mechanical shifting is gone. We're all going electronic, and then the apocalypse happens. Shit,
I can't get a battery.
And then like all the guys that had friction shifters are like, we've been saying it like forever. Friction shifters don't matter. Like doesn't matter.
Yeah, we'll see what's cool and trendy after the apocalypse. I think.
You know what's gonna be? You know what you're gonna need? Cassette tool, because if you had a bike for a length of time, or you want to make it a single speed, your gears are gonna kind of need to be messed with here and there. Or if you had to do a spoke or something, so a cassette lock ring tool would probably be pretty good. And modern bottom bracket wrenches, or
Not one, a bunch, right?
yeah, just
Because-
or one pair of channel locks, and some nice strong grip. If you don't get it, just take the next bike. I would go on foot though.
It'll be a hike a bike situation, As long as you have a bike and you know where it is, you can always get to it when you want to.
Okay, what brand of bike would you not choose? Like you're walking along, you're in the city, you're like, it's time I need a new bike. I've been riding this thing for like 1,000 miles. We're in the city. Let me find a new bike, right? What bike brand would you like? You're in the apocalypse. You're walking by. You're like, not that one. What bike brand would you not choose?
Michael, I forget. It's been a while since I've really looked at all the options, but does Fisher Price still make bikes?
Yeah, they're made out of plastic. They sell them at Toys R Us.
Yeah, I think I'd skip that one, but
Anything pink is out.
You can find spray paint. Spray paint probably lasts for a long time in cans. I wouldn't choose a specialized.
I'd go with a generalized.
I generalize.
I'd be like dying to find a Surly or like a old Salsa or All-City, some kind of steel frame bike.
I think Surly should actually do something with that. Like they could have a whole slogan where it's about like it's the apocalypse and like you need something durable, and it could say you're surely gonna go with a Surly or something like that.
What a brand like Surly, you think would already have a bike that just is like the ultimate, like forever bike, and they would call it like the apocalypse or something like that, right? But like, why don't they already have that?
A cargo bike would not be a bad option.
Not too bad of an option because you can carry your stuff. You can still make it a single speed, but you need to get an old Surly cargo bike so you could put disc or rim brakes and that kind of shit on it. Because now imagine you got to be quiet. Zombie apocalypse. You're on your disc brakes. You're going down a hill. Oh shit! Zombies are all around here, but just be quiet.
It's the Last of Us bike packers.
You'll probably be better at the apocalypse if you're a bike packer or bike tourist or adventure cyclist or just purely a cyclist. You'll probably be better if the apocalypse happens, even if you don't have bikes. You'll just be better at it.
Yeah.
So I think maybe we do an underground bike bunker where we just have all of Al's training bike setups, and then we're just on the trainer.
We've been in the apocalypse and we have this bunker. We're just hanging out and shit. We're all getting bored, right? Like, okay, we got to figure out something to do, okay? So let's go ride our bikes to every video store we can find, and we'll take all the DVDs and shit, right? We'll bring them back home so Al can sit on the trainer and me and Dallas can watch movies. You can power them TV. We'll take turns powering the TV, or else we'll just all have it all lined up. Bunch of bikes.
Yeah, I need to power the popcorn machine
It'd be kind of like a drive-in movie.
just so we could watch all the seasons of Full House on DVD. Anyway.
Dallas's night to choose what movie we watch. So me and Al would just be like, fuck.
Well, I just went and raided the local video store, and all they had was Full House and Barney.
And Barney. Oh, just Barney.
Full House.
After 3 months, we know the quotes to every episode.
I think you just go crazy, right? Al's walking around talking like Barney constantly.
Hey, I love you guys. Sharing is caring.
Now, what's your Mad Max bike touring outfit.
You can't go wrong with the vest. In the summer, it's just a vest, no shirt.
A bulletproof vest?
Yeah. Now, that would probably be the key. If you want to look at somebody's bunker, you better be Kevlar'd up. That's what.
A bulletproof vest. That's what you want.
Yeah.
Yeah. Al's gonna be wearing like a nice straight leather vest to open when he's riding his bike in the summertime. Yeah.
But it's also good training too, right?
Here's what I would say. He's like, when's Ragbri again?
July.
Yeah, he's like, I don't know what it is. It's kind of hot. I think it's July. You guys want to go right over and do Ragbri? Sure. We'll be the only ones out there. Where's the pie at?
Oh, man. If they didn't have pie, it wouldn't be Ragbri.
Yeah.
So on the last couple episodes, we've been talking about this mini micro tour that we were going to do from Bandon to Brookings. And a storm came through, so we didn't actually do the whole thing. But let's give an update to the listeners on how that went. So what happened with the mini? Well, I guess we were calling it a micro tour, and now it's a mini micro tour.
So it was the Bandon to Brookings micro tour, where we're going to leave from the bike shop and over 2 nights, 3 days, have like kind of a fun party type tour down the coast, hitting all kinds of restaurants and cool fun stuff. Well, we're like making all these plans, just dying to get outside while it's storming for 18 years. And probably got ahead of ourselves planning that ride during that time because of the weather. But we had one good day and one crappy day in the forecast. So we said, let's just go to Port Orford, to Humbug Mountain State Park, stay in the hiker biker side, and ride back the next day. And the first day, sunny, nice, sunny. It was perfect. Perfect. Had all kinds of fun. Woke up in the middle of the night. It started raining. Woke up. It was raining. Headed out. It was raining. But it was only raining like the hardest right when we first left. It rained on the way home a little bit in the beginning. And then the rest of the ride, it was just like dark, but freaking tailwind blowing us home. Super fun. Had all kinds of good food. Yeah. So we'll do another one.
I'm glad that we went out there and did it because as we were watching the forecast, we still kept telling ourselves and talking to each other that we might as well go for it, even if it's one day of sun, because what's the worst that we'll have? We'll have one great day of sun. We'll set up camp and then we'll head back. So it pretty much went as planned at that point. And I think it was worth it. It's been super wintry and snowy and rain and hail and windy. And then that was a pretty glorious day, getting into Humbug right as, the sun was going down, and even got quite a bit of firewood. So we had a nice toasty fire there for a bit, and we made it happen. We got to celebrate the coming of spring, even though the way back felt like spring might be a while.
Yeah.
But I think, Al, the way you say it, right? What was that? April showers bring May showers.
Yeah. That's an Oregon motto.
Yeah. So when do we usually get that solid window of sunshine? When do you think we should expect that? August. It'll be a while.
Hey, we rode last July and about drowned, so you know how that works.
So it'll start to turn, probably right now, it'll start to get better and better and better. And then we'll have another false spring, and then it'll be winter. And then about July 4th, we'll have solid 3-4 days a week. That's nice.
I can't wait for those August showers. That's going to be fun. Who knows how this year is going to go? We got a lot of footage at that micro tour, so hopefully there'll be some videos coming out showing that whole thing.
The one thing I want to bring back up about the micro tour that I was very happy to see is last summer or something, I went camping sick with Al. And this trip, Al was sick the whole week before and came out here looking like shit. Comes over here like 2 days before, walks up like, I just realized I drove all the way over here and I don't have my glasses. I should have told him, I said, you ain't going, dude. You ain't going to go. Like, you look really bad. You should be at home on the couch right now or something, right? And he showed up and just like me, rode himself back to health and did it.
So how you feeling now, Al?
Feeling pretty good. Yeah. I can breathe. I don't have a lot of phlegm in my chest. Even during the ride, it was like, as long as I didn't have to take a huge deep breath, I was good. A couple of those hills put me over, but it was good riding. I mean, the weather was great, so I can't complain at all about it.
What kind of beer is that? What does that say? Hold on, put it back up.
Look, there's a bike on it. You see that?
No, because you move it too much. All right, now hold it right there. All right. Okay, it's got a penny farthing. Is it a unicycle? Is the guy on a unicycle
No,
between
it's
the
like
trees?
it's one of those cruisers with a basket on it.
Oh,
It's Three Creeks and Sisters, Oregon, and it's the Five Pine Chocolate Porter.
Dallas pays more for beers because it has a bike picture on it.
That's all. No, actually, I saw the words chocolate porter, and that's why I got it. But I've had this one before.
So wait, it's chocolate flavored beer?
Yeah, it's like a porter or a stout. Like those are the beers me and Al usually get. Are usually the darker beers. But when they say a stout or a porter, so a stout is a porter, like a thick, darker porter, and a porter is usually when you see porter, it's usually like chocolate or coffee notes.
Yeah, it depends on what malt they use and how long they roast it. It cakes on some chocolatey flavors and notes. Yeah.
And to kind of take off the beer taste, has chocolate flavor.
So Al, here's one that I had recently though. When I was up at Mountain Bachelor, when we were coming back, we stopped in Bend and we went to 10 Barrel Brewery.
Yep.
And they had it was actually like I think it said Staff's Pick or something like that, like a seasonal limited release stout, but it was called Sugar Daddy, and it was a 7 pastry stout. And I got
jumped on
it.
that.
I think it was like 13%, no, maybe 11% alcohol. But it was like the sweetest stout I've ever had. It was like you were just straight drinking chocolate syrup.
Wow. Yeah. At
So
13% or even 11%, you're up into that imperial stout range,
Yeah.
So,
but at first I'm like, oh, this is kind of interesting. But then it was almost like hard to drink the whole thing because you're like, holy shit. Like I'd never even had a sweet stout before. They're usually not sweet at all.
So my bottle of water, it's like the same bottle I put Noon in all the time. So even though it's like fresh water, it's got like a hint of Noon to it, kind of like berry Noon. But it's really just better. It's just better than anyone else that drinks water. Mine's better.
I like to
More
call
hip.
that backwash flavored.
Yeah.
It's kind of like somebody else has been drinking in it, and it has like this little undertone of like, what the hell? I guess the person that just drank this before me had some bananas or something.
Like if one guy was drinking chocolate beer and then, share with another guy and the guy's like, what the fuck? Have you been eating chocolate? Something like that.
So one update I was going to say on here is I'm probably going to start doing these podcasts monthly. So just for listeners to know out there is these are going to be monthly. And I think that's a good way for us to start doing it. So one thing that's crazy though is Bike Camp and Chill has 10 podcast episodes. And those we were doing bi-weekly, but I think those are a little bit easier to do in the winter time when we were a little bit more available. But I think as spring and summer comes, we're going to be getting out there more. And so it's probably a little bit more realistic to just do these as a monthly thing. So moving forward, that's probably what they'll be. Maybe like the first Wednesday of each month is when they'll release. Well, I feel a little bit better knowing that if the apocalypse ever comes, you guys will have my back.
We're ready.
I think we're good.
Yeah. Don't count on that. All I know is this, is I live in the middle in Bandon, so you guys are going to have to meet here, okay? Goose Bay and Langlois, you guys can just come here. We'll meet here. Meet at the bike shop. I'll be defending all the bike parts that we need.
Abandoned Bicycle Works.
Pedal up that hill. It'll be worth the thrill. If you got the power of will to bike and camp and chill. Bike and camp and chill.